Top 5 greatest knights in medieval history. The channel is Real Crusades History. Real Crusades History.
The medieval era was the age of the knight, the armored aristocrat who fought on horseback. These men were nobles, warriors, lords, judges, and in some cases, poets. They were the ruling class of their age, forming a sort of extended brotherhood that dealt with one another according to the principles of chivalry. Today, the chivalric code is somewhat mysterious, and perhaps even existed in many versions during the Middle Ages. However, it often embodied virtues that even today are associated with the idea of the knight: courage, loyalty, charity, discipline, faith, and honor. Today, we'll highlight 5 remarkable knights who left a lasting impression on their age and ours as well. Number 5, Edward the Black Prince. Eldest son of Edward III of England, Edward, known to history as the Black Prince, was heir to the English throne. From an early age, he showed remarkable ability as a warrior. At 16, in 1346, he led the vanguard of the English army that defeated the French at the Battle of Crecy. His father appointed him lieutenant in Gascony in 1355. The next year, while ravaging French territory, Edward encountered a French army led by King Jean II near Poitiers. After the two forces failed to come to terms, a battle ensued in which the French were heavily defeated and King Jean himself was taken prisoner. This battle proved a key point in the 100 Years' War. In 1362, Edward married Joan of Kent and was named Prince of Aquitaine and Gascony by his father. In 1367, Edward set out for Spain to help restore King Pedro of Castile to his throne. At the Battle of Nájera, Edward proved his prowess once more, defeating Pedro's rival, Enrique of Trastamara. Returning to his lands in Aquitaine, Edward made himself unpopular with the nobility by levying taxes to pay for his Spanish campaign. The nobles rose in revolt, and Edward responded with brutal force. In 1370, Edward besieged Limoges. When the city fell, the Black Prince subjected it to a brutal sack, and many of the citizens were slain. This merciless conduct in Aquitaine may be the source of Edward's reputation as the Black Prince, though another theory credits the black color of his armor. In 1376, Edward fell sick with an illness, likely contracted in Spain. He died at the age of 45 before he ever had the chance to succeed his father to the throne.
45, man. He lived a long time, dude. For the time. You know? I didn't know he was doing all this shit at 16, bro. Battle of Crecy at 16. That's crazy. What I know from the video is I watched recently about the 100 Years' War. They talked about this guy. You know, I've wanted to learn about this guy for a while. See why he's called the Black Prince. You know, maybe because of his actions, maybe because of the color of his armor. But I need to do something more in-depth about the Black Prince. You know. So Crecy, the Battle of Crecy, he was 16. He died at 45. He lived longer than I thought. I thought he died way earlier than that. I thought he died like in his 20s. 45 is not bad, man, for the time.
The chance to succeed his father to the throne. Number 4, William Marshall.
Yeah, we know him. We've done something on him.
William Marshall was born in 1146 or 47, fourth son of John Marshall, an Anglo-Norman noble, during the reign of King Stephen of England. As a younger son, William could expect no inheritance for himself. Knighted in 1166, he began traveling, competing in tournaments, and earning a name for himself as a truly remarkable warrior. He spent 2 years in the service of Queen Eleanor of Aquitaine, who was impressed by his prowess. In 1170, the King of England, Henry II, designated Marshal as tutor-in-arms to his son and heir, Henry II. In 1170, the King of England, Henry II, designated Marshal as tutor-in-arms to his son and heir, Henry the young king. The young king made a vow to go on crusade, but he took ill. As he lay dying, young Henry asked William Marshal to keep the vow for him. Marshal obeyed, traveling to the Holy Land in 1183, where he met with the Knights Templar and made a vow to join their order on his deathbed. Returning from the Holy Land, Marshal continued as a high-ranking member of the royal court, serving Henry II and then Richard the Lionheart, who arranged for Marshal to marry Isabel de Clare, heiress to the earldom of Pembroke. William was part of the Lionheart's Regency Council during the Third Crusade, and when Richard returned to his kingdom, William served him during his wars with Philip II of France. William continued to serve the royal crown during the difficult reign of King John, and was one of the few English barons to remain loyal during the First Barons' War. As he lay dying, King John made William regent and guardian of his son, Henry III. Marshal defended the crown's interests against the French and rebellious barons, winning a brilliant victory against Prince Louis of France at the Battle of Lincoln in 1217. He finally died in 1219, having served 5 English kings. In his last moments, he took the vows of a Knight Templar. Number 3. Balan of Ibelin. Balan was born in the Crusader Kingdom of Jerusalem around 1143, youngest son of the nobleman Barison of Ibelin. In 1177, he joined the young King of Jerusalem, Baldwin IV, at the Battle of Montgisard, in which the Crusaders smashed Saladin's army. That same year, Balan married Maria Comnena, widow of the late King Amalric of Jerusalem. In 1187, Balan and his knights accompanied the new King Guy's army against Saladin's forces at Hattin. The ensuing battle was a devastating defeat for the Christians. While most of Guy's army was destroyed, Balan led his knights in a charge that breached part of Saladin's encirclement, allowing them to escape. After the battle, most of the kingdom fell to Saladin. When Saladin besieged Jerusalem, Balan led the citizens in defending the city. Saladin pummeled the walls with his siege engines, but Balan organized the city's defenses brilliantly, and Saladin found that Jerusalem did not fall so easily. This convinced Saladin to negotiate with Balan, and the Sultan finally agreed to allow some of Jerusalem's inhabitants to buy their freedom. Balan negotiated with great commitment for the lives of Jerusalem's poor, many of whom were refugees from the kingdom's fallen towns. During the Third Crusade, in which Richard the Lionheart defeated Saladin repeatedly in battle and won back much of the kingdom's coastal territory, Balan acted as Richard's chief ambassador to Saladin, helping negotiate the Treaty of Ramla that secured a peace between Saladin and the Crusaders. Balan's heroic defense of Jerusalem in 1187 won him acclaim throughout the Christian world, as well as respect among the Muslims, who described him as like a king. Number 2. El Cid.
I know this guy.
Rodrigo Diaz, before he earned the title of El Cid, from the Arabic word meaning Lord, was born to a knightly family in the Kingdom of Castile in Spain. He served as chief military commander for King Sancho II. The next king, Alfonso VI, arranged for his own relative, the Lady Jimena, to marry Rodrigo. However, in 1081, Rodrigo fell from King Alfonso's favor, and he was exiled. Leading a small band of his own knights, the Cid found employment in Moorish Zaragoza, where he served as military commander for the Emir al-Mutamin, a tributary of the King of Castile. In 1086, The Almoravids, an army of powerful North African militants, invaded Spain and defeated King Alfonso VI at the Battle of Sagrajas. Desperate for help, Alfonso formally pardoned El Cid, though their relationship would remain stormy. King Alfonso authorized El Cid to hold by hereditary right any lands he might conquer from the Moors in the east. In 1093, El Cid besieged and blockaded the city of Valencia, which had been in Moorish hands since the early Arab conquest. Valencia surrendered on June 15, 1094, and the Cid entered the city in triumph. The fall of Valencia roused the wrath of the Almoravids, who by now held virtually all of the Moorish territory in Spain. The Almoravid commander, Yusuf ibn Tashfin, dispatched an army, and in September of 1094, Almoravid forces clashed with El Cid's much smaller army on the plain of Cuarte. The Cid led his knights in a bold charge, and the huge Almoravid host was shattered. The Battle of Cuarte was the first defeat suffered by the Almoravids since their arrival on the Iberian Peninsula. El Cid defeated them again at the Battle of Bayren in 1097. Rodrigo Diaz, El Cid, would continue to rule in Valencia until at last he died on July 10, 1099. His widow, Jimena, traveled back to Castile, escorted by King Alfonso's army, bearing her husband's body to be buried in the land of his birth. El Cid's striking victories in the Reconquista made him one of the great legends of medieval poetry and song. Number 1. Godfrey of Bouillon. Godfrey of Bouillon's legendary status eclipses that of almost any other medieval knight. As a leader of the First Crusade, Godfrey and his knights were the first to storm the walls of Jerusalem, capturing the city in 1099. But who is the man behind the legend?
What?
Godfrey was the second son of Eustace II, Count of Bologna, and an ally of William the Conqueror. Godfrey's mother was Ida, a woman revered as a saint who engaged in many charitable works. In a time when most noble ladies used wet nurses, Ida insisted on breastfeeding her own children so that she could keep them closer to her and instill them with virtue and love of God. Godfrey grew up strongly pious. In 1076, Godfrey inherited the Duchy of Lower Lorraine from his mother's brother, Godfrey the Hunchback. However, the importance of the duchy prompted the Holy Roman Emperor, Heinrich IV,
Go back, I want to understand more about his mom, man. He seems dope, man.
Conqueror. Godfrey's mother.
Let's run it back.
Godfrey and his knights were the first to storm the walls of Jerusalem, capturing the city in 1099. But who is the man behind the legend? Godfrey was the second son of Eustace II, Count of Bologna, and an ally of William the Conqueror. Godfrey's mother was Ida, a woman revered as a saint.
So this kind of implies that his dad was at the Battle of Hastings, yeah, with William the Conqueror, because they're showing the tapestry here. I guess he was. He was a count. His dad was a count.
The man behind the legend.
These guys
Godfrey
were
was
nobles.
the second son of Eustace II, Count of Bologna, and an ally of William the Conqueror. Godfrey's mother was Ida, a woman revered as a saint who engaged in many charitable works. In a time when most noble ladies used wet nurses, Ida insisted on breastfeeding her own children so that she could keep them closer to her and instill them with virtue and love of God. Godfrey grew up strongly pious. In 1076, Godfrey inherited the Duchy of Lower Lorraine from his mother's brother, Godfrey the Hunchback. However, the importance of the duchy prompted the Holy Roman Emperor, Heinrich IV, to initially withhold part of Godfrey's inheritance. In these early years, Godfrey proved his abilities as a leader in battling many enemies bent on depriving him of his uncle's lands. Godfrey also proved himself a reliable ally to the Holy Roman Emperor, and by 1087, Godfrey had fully secured the Duchy of Lower Lorraine. In 1096, Godfrey responded to the call to crusade from Pope Urban II, selling or mortgaging most of his lands. Godfrey raised a considerable army and set out for the Holy Land in August. By 1099, Godfrey was one of the preeminent leaders of the Crusader host, and with his knights, he stormed the city of Jerusalem. He was then elected as the first leader of the Crusader Kingdom of Jerusalem, though he refused the title of king, as he believed the only king of Jerusalem was Jesus Christ. Instead, he adopted the title Defender of the Holy Sepulchre. He died in July of 1100, revered as the restorer of Jerusalem and the founder of the Crusader Kingdom.
Wow. Okay. No kings. Medieval kings are also knights, but if there are a lot of kings on this list, they would have dominated it. Okay.
Slowly sidewinding.
That was nice, man. That was nice, though. Of course, I knew the Black Prince, I knew William Marshall, I knew El Cid. Balan of Balan is new to me, and Godfrey of Balan is new to me. This guy is, kind of like stormed Jerusalem. I don't know if Jerusalem at the time was under a Muslim empire at the time. Probably. These are Christians storming Jerusalem. I'm guessing Jerusalem at the time was probably under Muslim rule, yeah. Maybe Saladin or whatever. Yeah? Maybe what was that empire called? Sassanid. I don't know. Maybe. He rejected the title of king, protector of the royal sepulchre. He took that instead. Bro, that's so dope, man. Just saying, yo, I'm not king, Jesus is king. Yo, knights were all about honor, yeah? I'm sure there were some who were not that honorable. I'm sure. But their whole thing, chivalry, yeah. They're all about chivalry, yeah? Like being a gentleman in every sense of the word. Honor, virtue, courage, even Balian. Is it Balian of Ibelan that negotiated for the refugees in Jerusalem with Saladin? They regarded him as a king, like a king. Yeah, like that shit, man. This is when at least this was a time when people tried to be honorable in battle and stuff, Nowadays, it's not like that, bro. There's no honor now. I'm sure people try to be honorable, but, knights were all about that stuff, man. Knights were all about that. I find that very interesting. It's also interesting that they were nobles. Almost all of them were nobles. Their dads were nobles. They held land. These were mostly second sons or people who did not have like a claim to the throne or whatever. In the case of people who didn't have like not even claim to the throne, people who did not have like inheritance rights because of their position in the family, the fourth son, the third son, the second son. I'm just going to become a knight and just build a name for myself, build a rep for myself, man. um kings really valued them. With a lot of these guys, you are seeing the kings, you know, giving them like very nice marriages. Like, kings were marrying them off to like powerful women of noble families, trying to build marital alliances with them. Like a king might marry one of his relatives to one of these guys, to keep them loyal, to keep them close, because they value them like that. The El Cid story, I remember. It was a long documentary I watched. He served his first king, and then that king got dethroned. I don't know if he died or whatever. And then the king after him was the previous king's brother. I think it was Sancho, I don't know. It's been a while, man. He falls out with the king. He gets banished. The king is in trouble, calls him back. And then, yeah, I remember that part from the documentary. It wasn't an easy relationship with his king at that point. But there was a need to keep these guys close and to keep them loyal and stuff. William Marshall, we've done a reaction, I've done a reaction to William Marshall. I think it was by the channel History Squad. Yeah. Him we know. I know about him joining the Knights Templar on his deathbed. The Black Prince, I want to do something on the Black Prince, something a bit more in-depth. Find him very interesting. He has the dopest name. El Cid is a nice name too. The Black Prince is a really cool name, dude. One of the coolest medieval names. Richard the Lionheart, I need to do something on him too. Is he the one who got assassinated by, I think he was shot with an arrow by someone who was trying to assassinate him, and then he let the guy go. I think he was trying to be chivalrous, maybe, I don't know, but the guy that shot him, the wound later became gangrenous and he died from the wound. But the guy, I think, that shot him, I saw this recently, Richard had killed probably his dad and his brother, or maybe his two younger brothers. I think he'd strangled them with his hands. Little boys too, little kids. I don't know why. I need to learn about that guy, man. So that's not very chivalrous. So I don't know why he was he allowed that guy to go. That guy was later, after Richard died from the wound, the guy that was let go, the guy that shot him, was later found and flayed for killing the king or whatever. Yeah, Richard the Lionheart, man. We need to do something on him. Richard the Lionheart. Need to do something on him, man. It was nice. That was nice. See you guys in the next one, man.